Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off. Completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed.
Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going.
It's Tuesday!
Yay! We're so glad you're here.
Welcome to CK and GK. We're so glad that you have joined us. Today, we've got a Cram Sesh!
Yeah, we do.
It's a little short episode for you. We're going to try and make it short.
Yeah,
Is it going to be short? I don't know.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you will be very excited because today, our guest host is your favorite talk show host with red hair and glasses. Nope, it's not Sally Jesse Raphael. It's Caitlin.
I saw SJR and I was like, talk show, SJR, what? And I got excited. Oh, do you remember watching Sally Jesse Raphael? Like, you'd stay home sick and then you'd have, your Price is Right in the morning, but then all the talk shows would come on in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Sally Jesse, Ricky Lake.
Donahue.
Oh, Donahue. Mm-hmm. I watched Ricky Lake, too. And then she kind of went the Maury Povich route and got a little nuts, right? That one went off the rails. Yeah. Well, with me...
Jenny Jones was another
one. Oh, yeah! Jenny Jones.
Every episode was kids going to boot camp.
Cash me outside. How about that? Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so she loves Pepsi milk. It's Laverne DeFazio, everybody. Pepsi milk. Can you imagine? That was a real thing that she drank. Like, it was real.
Ew.
Ugh.
Yuck.
So gross. Okay, we have shout-outs to start with today. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, I want to start with just a podcast that has really been super friendly and great and promoted our show recently, and you'll hear their promo pretty soon as soon as we have our hands on it. But for now, I want to say hi to Completely Off the Rails podcast. They are hilarious. They're so funny, not necessarily safe for work all the time, but they're so great. Anytime you get the chance to listen to their show, it's just be prepared for the wife's super country accent, and it's just very fun. So and they're very supportive people, and they also have a true crime podcast that I've just started listening to, and they're really good people. So give them a listen.
I'm going to talk more about this later, but I did go to my high school reunion. It was fabulous. We'll talk about it later. But I wanted to give a shout out to a classmate who says that she loves our show.
Oh, cool.
So, I don't know if I have your permission to use your name, so I'll just use your initials, KZ, but thank you so much for listening to us.
I love that. That's awesome. I also have to say hello to our newest patrons, because they hold an extra special place in my heart, and probably your heart too. But Carly and Raina, hi girls, we love you. You're so sweet to join our Patreon. Yay! It's so cute. For those of you who don't know, Carly and Raina are former students of mine. Jenny knows them as well, and they're just super cool high school kids now, which is so crazy because I met them when they were in 6th grade and now they're in high school. Really, really sweet kids, and I'm so glad you guys joined. It's really kind of you to join our Patreon. We love you. We miss you.
Thanks for the support.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So every week, even when we're doing a Cram Sesh, we try and talk about what's going on in the world around us, starting with the world of sports. And while this is definitely not everything that's happening in sports, it's enough for you to join the conversation and bring up something that's happening in the world of sports. So I wanted to talk about the Boston Marathon. They have officially added a non-binary division for the race that will happen this spring.
That's awesome!
Yeah, and they are not the first major race to add this division, but the Boston Marathon is the gold standard.
Right.
And there are various requirements because, you can't just sign up to run Boston.
No, you have to qualify.
Right? You have to qualify. And so there are going to be several criteria that you have to meet in order to be included in this division, including that you must have run another qualifier as a non-binary participant previously. But this is a cool deal. This is a great way to make sure that the race is inclusive. So.
Yeah, I love that. I am wondering, like, how common is it for qualifying events to have a non-binary division? Because that could be an obstacle to entering into the marathon. But I mean, I guess it depends on your area, right? Like, that's an interesting piece.
So, the Philadelphia distance run and the Brooklyn full and half both have.
Oh, and those are qualifiers. Okay.
Non-binary.
Okay.
I am reading this from the article.
Yeah, I was saying you just know this offhand. Well done. You're that hardcore of a runner.
And I mean, I'm really into running.
Right.
And that's only towards a plate of pasta.
Wherever the guacamole is, that's where I run.
So, the qualifying times have not been set yet. So, right now, you're going to have to meet the qualifying criteria in the women's division until they've started setting non-binary qualifying times.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, I do have a friend who I believe ran the Boston. If she's listening to this, Katie this is a woman who, like, not long after giving birth to her first child, was running Red Rocks. Like, she's just that kind of person who can,
wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's amazing. But she just did her first Boston. I'm really proud of her. So, well done.
Not long after I gave birth to my child, I had a glass of wine. Said I haven't had one in 9 months. It's about time.
Yeah. I did not work out after no.
No.
I barely walked. Like, I couldn't even, I was so
walking
sore.
Walking up and down the stairs wasn't
exactly.
We even moved downstairs, so I didn't have to go up and downstairs.
Yeah. Okay, well, 2 little bits of sports updates here. We had another big tennis retirement happen just in the past week.
I know.
Crazy.
But how cool is it to not announce it until after Serena had her moment?
I agree that was pretty classy. But I would expect nothing less from Roger Federer. 20 Grand Slam titles in his career. Rafael Nadal and Djokovic are the other 2, like, big 3 in that group. So now that Roger Federer is out, we'll have to see what happens. I would bet Rafa decides he's going to go pretty quickly here. He's having some issues, but congratulations to Roger Federer. We're super impressed with all that you've accomplished, and again, pretty class act to let Serena have her moment first. And
very, very cool.
I have an update on something we discussed so long ago when we were doing our Olympics episodes and our Olympics coverage. Like, when we were first recording, we talked about Soul Cap, which is a brand of swim caps designed to fit over specifically more voluminous hair, but in very intentionally black hair. Yes. And there was controversy about Soul Cap not being allowed to produce swim caps for swimmers in the Olympics. And we discussed the barriers that really has on more people being involved in swimming, because hair is so, like, you have to protect it and be very careful with what kind of things you put in it and on it in order to keep it healthy if you have specific hair like that. So, super exciting, but FINA has allowed Soul Cap's cap to be in international competitions. So this is really cool, and very excited to see these caps and see more people be able to fit their hair into a swim cap and hopefully participate in a sport that has traditionally not allowed people to engage with it if they can't fit into that swim cap. So really awesome.
Right. And it means that you can still swim and have natural hair.
Right. Wear your hair the way you want to, protect it, keep it healthy, and still swim. So it's a big deal.
Love it. All right. So now we move into the things that we are obsessed with. And today in particularly, I'm obsessed with my sore arm because I got my Omicron shot.
Yeah.
And super excited, right? Like, filled out my card. I got to flip to the back now.
Nice.
And, you know, John and I have been making the joke. It's like Pokemon, gotta catch them all.
As opposed to, like, gotta catch all the variants. Let's catch all the different vaccines, yes?
Right,
Yeah.
Right. Because we don't want to catch them all.
No,
So we get
exactly.
all the vaccines.
Exactly.
I will say that I have had some side effects today. I'm feeling pretty fatigued and kind of weak, but no headache and no nausea. Whereas when I got my second Moderna shot way back in the day, that's when John and I were taking turns chugging Gatorade and trying to stay awake for an hour at a time.
That. Oh.
Like tagging in and out because we got our shots on the same day and we're like, oh, we'll just recover together.
No.
Well, we forgot that we have children.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And
yeah, no,
someone needs to keep them alive.
Does not work.
So, but other than that, like, it was pretty easy, and I got my flu shot at the same time, so maybe my body's just like in overdrive when it comes to immune system.
Yeah, I could see that. That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that you got your next. So this is number 4. You've had 4 shots now.
This is number 4.
Woot. Yeah, I need to get my fluster as well. I'm thinking probably October, but then I'll be 3 months out from when I had it. So yeah.
I was just already there, so I was like,
yeah, you might as well.
Give me all the shots.
Absolutely.
But I am also obsessed with purple shampoo. And I know that this is not new. I've even talked about purple shampoo on the show before. Mm-hmm. But I was really thinking about it because I just went and got my roots done and held off washing as long as I could and said, okay, now it's been 4 days. I'm going to go ahead and wash, and I'm going to use the purple. And I wanted to know, like, what does it really do besides just protect blonde hair?
Yeah.
So I did some research. And it's supposed to neutralize the brassy tones in either blonde or silver hair by actually using ground up violet powder. And the color, the purple color, really does, like, get absorbed into your hair.
Oh.
So they say that you can leave it on for, like, up to 15 minutes as a treatment and then rinse it out. And I was really interested, is it people with me who have, like, type 1, very fine, very flat hair, right? Like, I don't have to straighten my hair.
No.
I just let it dry, and it's board straight.
Yeah.
My hair has zero texture. And I was wondering, like, do people who have textured hair, if you have, like, type 4 curly, kinky hair, do you use purple shampoo?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes. There's all types of purple shampoo for all different textures of hair. As if you are bleaching your hair or your hair is naturally gray or white, you should be using purple once a week.
Oh.
So it's not the texture.
It's the color. Okay.
Right. So the other thing it says is that if you have red hair, you can use it periodically to help protect your red hair from the sun.
What? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Well,
if you are a natural brunette, you should look for blue shampoo.
What?
Yes. Now,
somewhere an art teacher is like,
purple.
obviously, you idiots. And like, you're trying.
So you don't want to use purple every time you wash.
No, that would overdo.
And they said, you know, it's every blonde is different. Everyone's texture is different. You know, how much hair you have, how much treatment you have. All my hair is bleached, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get highlights, and then I also bleach the roots. So all my hair benefits from purple, but I don't want to use it all the time. So I use it once a week.
Okay.
Some people might use it only once a month. Some people might use it 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how platinum you want your hair to be.
I wonder if it, like, counteracts, like, the yellowy. I'm thinking about gray and white.
Yes.
Like, it just counteracts that yellowy. Okay. Well, that's like with skin. Like, if you have paler skin and you have red spots, you use green to neutralize the red spot because
it's science.
Yeah. Again, some art teachers, like, you guys are so stupid. Obviously, this is what you do.
Yeah,
but
why is this even on here?
Right. But I do find that really interesting. I mean, we've talked about this. One, I mean, I have red hair, but it's almost auburn. But I also, like, my hair is coming in, the new ones that are growing in, they're coming in white. So I'm going to need to have something to combat that. So, all right. Well, do you have any recommendations for what we should use for purple or no?
I have a link.
Oh, you do?
That is the best types of purple shampoo.
Okay.
And there's one on there that's like the best drugstore brand.
Ooh, yes.
And that's the one that I'm using.
Yes.
Because I am already spending enough money to bleach my hair. I don't also need to pay for expensive shampoo.
Yeah.
But if you are someone who has type 3 or type 4 hair, you might want something that's a little bit richer or creamier, just to offer some more protection. And again, you can leave it on for 30 seconds and then rinse it out, or you can leave it on for up to 15 minutes.
Okay.
And you just kind of look at your hair. I encourage people to take pictures before and after and kind of see, like, did it mellow me enough?
Yeah. And then decide if you choose.
I leave mine on for about 2 minutes. I suds up my hair, shave my legs, and then rinse my hair out.
Oh, okay. All right. That works. I'm going to give this a try because I need to do something about this. So I love it. Okay. Again, coming in with the trivial because that's how I roll these days, apparently. But you know how much I love TikTok. I have learned so much there, and sometimes I'm tired of learning and I just want to find videos that make me happy. So there's no way that this man will ever hear this. But I don't care. This is a shout out to an account run by the handle Nathan Brown Actor. It's all one word, Nathan Brown Actor on TikTok. He is a British man who is being recommended all of these songs, mostly rock songs, and listening to them for the first time. And we experienced this phenomenon a couple years ago when we saw two young boys listening to In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins for the first time.
Oh, yes. And when the drum break happens,
and they're like, what? And it's amazing. Yeah, exactly. They totally lose it. Well, this guy does that with all kinds of different songs, but one of the ones that, like, I was like, all right, I have to follow this man, was when he listened to You Shook Me All Night Long. It was amazing. And then Sweet Home Alabama. Like, he was just like, okay. It's so entertaining and fun to watch him get into it. And then you get to listen to the song for a little while too, which is always fun. So that's one thing. And then recently, I have a bunch of indie podcasts that I listen to, but I also have a bunch of like more mainstream ones that I listen to. And I was caught up on the mainstream ones, and my queue for all of my indie ones wasn't working. And I was like, I'm irritated and I don't want to, I'm just going to say, forget it on podcast for the afternoon. And I found as much of Beyonce's new album as I could on Spotify. And I just was like, this is so amazing. And of course, there's like two songs that have really taken over TikTok right now. And one of them is Cuff It, which is like the happiest freaking song. I love it so much. There's a lot of swearing in that song. So Raina and Carly, don't tell your mom I told you to listen to it. But that one is a good one. And Break My Soul has just made me so happy. It's like a You Won't Break My Soul anthem. It just made my heart so happy. So those two songs, when I was super mad at my indie podcast queue for not playing, those two songs pulled me out of it. And so those are my obsessions right now. I can't stop listening to either one of them. They're so good. Also, the Britney Spears and Elton John remake of Tiny Dancer has been amazing to listen to. That's really fun. I
do not want to go down the Britney trail because, like, we could talk about that for an hour.
Yeah, there's so much there, and there are other podcasts that are doing it better.
I am loving the music.
Oh my gosh! Also, how long did it take you to learn that the lyric was "Lay me down on sheets of linen"? Because I did not know that was the word.
Oh well, I am one of those girls who
read
up the lyrics.
Yeah, but I haven't.
So I do know all the lyrics. I didn't know.
Well, I mean, I never had an Elton John CD as a kid, so I didn't have the little booklet. And you
also never performed on stage with him.
No.
See, I did.
Ew.
So I needed to know all of the songs.
Look at you rubbing my nose in it. Come on now. Oh,
that's not the tune we did together, but I wanted to be prepared for whatever he called me up to sing with him.
Well, for sure you had to have everything memorized. Absolutely. Well, I mean, Phoebe Buffay got it wrong and sang Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Tony Danza.
So, yeah, I don't feel that bad, but it's just, it's a good song. So I'm into those right now. Do you have any gems?
Yes. So I am going to say my gem of the week was the reunion. It was 10 out of 10.
Oh, yay.
That's quoting Abigail, my date.
Oh!
My role was to plan the Friday night events.
Okay.
We did a tour of the high school because it's been 20 years and it's changed a lot.
Yes.
And because our town just exploded. Like when I lived there, population like 10,000. Population now like 60,000.
Whoa.
So it's huge now. It was phenomenal. Now, we did have a lower turnout than I would have liked to see. There were some other events on Saturday that I did not attend, so I'm kind of hoping that it balanced itself out, some Friday, some Saturday. But of the people who did come, I was so excited to see them. Like, I ran into people that I literally hadn't seen in 20 years and didn't even know what they were up to. I hadn't been stalking them on Facebook. Like, these were people I legit hadn't seen.
Wow.
And it was so great. Now, a couple of things that came out of that. One was I ordered balloons to make the table stand out where I was going to have people check in to get their tickets.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wanted them to be able to find
Sure.
it. And most of the tents at our football games happen inside the stadium. And so I couldn't set up inside the stadium because people need their ticket to get inside.
Oh, no.
So I set up outside, and I wanted to make sure that it was very visible. So I ordered a bunch of blue and gold balloons and a gold 0 and a gold 2. And I set it up for curbside pickup because I was coming straight from school to the reunion, and I wanted to be able to pick them up in Shirts, Texas.
Yes.
Which, is right across the beltway from Pants.
Right.
It's the only joke I have. So I wanted to be able to pick them up in Shirts and set up the table rather than drive all the way down there with balloons in the car. And so I get the little text message from the party store saying, your curbside order is ready for you to pick up at your preferred location in Cedar Park.
No.
No. Which is approximately 90 miles from where I am.
And
no. I was so proud of myself for ordering them ahead of time.
Oh.
And I ordered them at the wrong store.
Tell me you have ADHD without telling me you have ADHD. You miss the details.
Yeah. Right. So I call the party store in Cedar Park and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to get these balloons. And they said, oh, well, they're already in. I was like, no. This is on me.
Right. I messed up. Like, I'm not angry.
I'm not trying to.
Right. I'm not
letting you know I'm not going to get
right.
them. I already paid.
Yeah.
And I said, whoever is the next person to walk through the door, just give them this balloon bouquet and say it's theirs.
Yeah. There you go.
Hopefully they're turning 2 or 20.
Right. Oh.
No. So then we went to a different party store and reordered the order.
Those number balloons are pricey too. Like we got some for my son's birthday when he turned 2, and I was like, what? Like, maybe that was during the helium shortage.
I had a coupon.
Okay, well that helps.
I had a coupon, and I scaled down the order the second time.
Yeah.
It was not as pretty.
No.
So we toured the high school. It's amazing. They tore out the gym and turned it into a whole culinary unit, including the Buffalo Bistro, a practice restaurant that the students run for the teachers.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? We're walking through the school, and Abigail is saying, like, oh, I could go to school here. This is pretty nice. They have a whole medical unit. So if you are interested in health occupations, they have a whole setup for those types of classes.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. And we had an assistant principal give us the tour, and she was so cool.
Aww.
She took us everywhere. She gave us every little story. She let us take our time. We were on that tour, I'm not even kidding you, 90 minutes.
Whoa. I don't think that my high school would
Caitlin,
take that long to tour through.
Welcome to Texas.
Yeah.
This high school has a shooting range inside the school.
Yeah, that's
okay,
Texas.
Right? Okay, so it's in the ROTC unit, and it's with Daisy BB guns that are specially made to be indoor rifles. They have magnets in the wall.
Okay.
And so they shoot at the magnets. The magnets flatten the BBs into these tiny little discs and collect them so that they don't fly all over.
Oh my gosh. That's also...
It's the coolest thing.
How much did this reno cost? This is unreal. Unreal. Holy cow.
And the assistant principal was so cute about it. She was like, well, thank you so much for those who voted for the bond, because you bought this.
Right? Seriously.
It was incredible. The other thing that they did that I have never seen ever was they took out the auditorium and turned it into a courtyard.
Whoa.
Have you ever heard of someone tearing down a building and putting a park?
No, I love that. Oh, that's awesome.
Right?
That's so
They
cool.
built this giant performing arts center that's just incredible. And I don't even know how many seats it holds. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 500. I have no idea. But it looks like a college classroom. And it has a full stage and all of the things that you would need.
Yeah.
So they don't need this rinky-dink auditorium that was built in the 60s when the high school was originally built. So they tore it down and put out picnic tables and pavilions, and it's just a place for the kids to hang out.
I love the idea of like having it's like the whole if you build it they will come thing, right? It's like if you provide a space for people to just go and relax, they will use it. And if you're trying to encourage students to stay on campus, that's a really good way to do it. Oh, I love it.
It was so cool.
I bet it was really, really nice.
So we had a great time.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you that the most Texas thing that happened was not the indoor rifle range at the high school.
Okay.
The most Texas thing that happened was during the halftime show, which, they also crowned the king and queen. Mm-hmm. But the dance team did their routine.
Yeah.
They danced to Deep in the Heart of Texas.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
And their skirts had a big slit in the front so that they could grab two corners of it, open it up as the Texas flag.
I'm cringing.
It was like
every fiber.
Living. Oh my gosh, I was living in an episode of King of the Hill. I was like, you cannot make this up.
No.
This is Texas high school football. There are 22 girls on the field with Texas flag skirts, waving them deep in the heart of Texas.
Oh, man. Oh, it's giving me Fiesta vibes a little bit, too. Like
yes,
Fiesta in San Antonio. Yeah, it's okay. All right. Okay.
It was amazing. It was so good to see everyone. It was great to connect with people I've already spent a lot of time connecting with. And then also people I hadn't seen in forever.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And I got to learn that one of our listeners is a classmate.
Yeah,
so that was so cool.
That's really cool. I'm into it. I'm sorry. I'm picturing the skirts. That's what I'm doing right now is I'm picturing the... Mm-hmm. Do they have cowboy boots on too?
Of course they did.
Okay. Yep.
Sequined ones.
Yes. That's what I had in my head. Like sparkly. Yes. Probably white. Yes,
to match their sequin hats.
White boots?
White.
Yeah.
White.
White boots.
White boots.
Mm-hmm.
White sequin hats. Mm-hmm. For the officers. And the non-officers members of the Bells dance team did not have sparkly cowboy hats. They just had plain blue ones.
Oh. Okay. Oh, I love it though. That sounds like a great gem, like a happy sort of thing. But yes, that does feel very Texas to me. Did you have a mum? Like a really giant like mum or no?
I did not have a mum.
Okay.
But I did wear a mum to my 10-year reunion.
Nice. Okay. Okay. For those of you who don't live in Texas, it's like a thing, and I don't totally understand it either. I just know that there's like for homecoming, you get a mum. It's like a giant ribbon. It looks like a dog show ribbon, but it's like huge, and you end up wearing it on your.
It does look like a dog show.
That's what I
now.
Think
if I remember,
of.
If I remember the story correctly, it's that a chrysanthemum corsage was bigger and showier than just a plain carnation.
Yes.
And so the date of someone brought a chrysanthemum saying, I wanted you to have the biggest corsage out of all of your friends.
Yeah.
And so that just took off to be, okay, now they are silk chrysanthemums. And I'm not even kidding you. They're the size of dinner plates.
Oh, yeah. They're huge. It's like a head-sized thing. Yeah.
And some girls, like, wear 4 flowers as a senior. Oh. And so now they have this, like, turtle shell on their back.
You have to wear it on your back. Exactly. It's so big. It's like a backpack.
And the ribbons go down to the floor. There's cowbells on them.
Yeah, no, that's not for me.
And then you make for your male counterpart a garter that he wears on his arm that also has one of these silk chrysanthemums that you can see from space and ribbons that drop down to his elbow.
And it matches. And also I love that it's a garter that he wears on his arm because it's Texas and you can't, yeah. Anyway, this is just, okay. I'm learning lots of things living in Texas, but I did send you that like meme before your homecoming that was like a helicopter carrying him up. And I was like, have fun tonight. Because it was so big, I wondered, but all right.
It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a fantastic evening.
I'm so glad you had fun.
And they gave us a shout out on the announcements, so.
Oh, cool.
All right.
I'm into
Class
that.
of 2002.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, well, my gem is not nearly that inspirational and happy. Well, I mean, it's happy, but it made me laugh really hard. And I don't know where this came from at all. I don't know what the context is. I can't remember. I just remember laughing hysterically at this. So for whatever reason, my husband and I are talking about something on Friday night, and I don't know where it came from at all. But for whatever reason, he confused Grey's Anatomy with 50 Shades of Grey. And I don't understand how this happened. I don't know what the context was. All I know is he's like, yeah, like that one. I think he was talking about the actor. I think he was talking about Jamie Dornan. But I can't remember. But anyway, or maybe it was her. I don't know. But he says something like, yeah, like, you know, that one, like, it's kind of hardcore. It's like a hardcore movie. And he was like, Grey's Anatomy. And I just stopped and I looked at him for a second and I was like, Grey's Anatomy? Do you mean 50 Shades of Grey? And he was like, oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Something totally different.
I think he mentioned somehow that it was a book. Maybe that's what we were talking about, is that it was a book and it, you know, like it doesn't have a reputation for being well written or something like that. But that's how it came up. And I just remember, like, everything around me stopped. Like, kittens stopped bouncing all over the house. And the beverage that I have in my hand is, like, paused here for a second. I was just like, what? Like, those are not the same.
So let me tell you this. In the show notes, Caitlin has written, my husband confused the two type of grays.
Yes.
So I thought she was going to actually explain to us, like, when you use an E versus when you use an A.
Oh, I can do that.
Wow, I'm going to learn something.
Yeah, no, I can do that.
And I was totally going to pretend.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that's so funny. I don't know the difference between gray with an A and gray with an E.
Yeah.
So I was ready to learn that. This is way funny.
Well, I mean, if you're wanting to learn, traditionally Americans use the gray with the A, and people in England use the gray with the E. That's the only. There's no there's no right or wrong. That's just the traditional thing. It's like adding. Like adding a U into certain words, right? Like color. Yeah, it's like that.
Or theater.
Yeah, and it has to do with print.
ER.
Well, the RE and the ER is less with print, but the dropping the U out of words comes from print. Like it costs more.
Because it costs too much?
Too much, yeah. So if you just take those letters out, you still get the same idea without changing the meaning of the word. So that's where that came from. Anyway.
Very good. I did not learn that. I did not know that. But yes.
All right. We'll be right back after this promo.
Hello, this is Mama D, and I'm the host of Petals of Support. Petals of Support is a podcast that offers advice from a mom to anyone that needs a little extra love and support. This is not advice for moms, but advice from a mom. I've covered such topics as forgiveness, how to forgive, when to forgive, and when it's okay to not forgive, letting go, how to make good decisions, and how to handle stressful situations. I'm not a licensed anything. I'm just a mom that wants to provide to you the same advice that I give my kids, my friends, and my family. You can find me on any podcast platform. You can also find me at Twitter at Petals of Support. Please go listen, find the episodes that apply to you, and maybe the ones that don't. You can file that information away for later. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our friends. Back to the show.
All right. So something really amazing happened last week.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all have been to our fabulous website. And if you haven't, why? Caitlin worked so hard on it. It's amazing. There's some great images from Live, Love, Like Photography. It's a really great setup. Also, there's a blog every week that goes with our episode. Mm-hmm. But we had a listener submit a question. So I'm going to read that question, and then our Cram Sesh is going to be answering this question.
Because it's a Cram Sesh, I'm going to set my teacher timer. Are you ready? I'm setting it for 20 minutes. It's going to be so annoying. Oh my gosh. This is like the most extra thing. And it's going to start. Can you hear it? Is it?
I can hear it.
Okay. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise while we're. Get it further away from the mic.
No, it's good.
Okay.
It's good.
All right, cool.
It's setting the mood.
It is.
All right. Hello, Caitlin and Jenny. How are you today? We're great. Thanks for asking. Mm-hmm. I am writing because I am a teacher who absolutely adores your podcast. I think you are both so amazing and so funny. I do too. Thanks. I am emailing now because I need some advice from experienced teachers and parents. My daughter is struggling in school. She's in 5th grade in Augusta, Maine. Which...
Maine? What? Like anyone? I thought Maine. That all of our listeners were like in the local area or in Denver where my parents live.
I think that her teacher is unfairly grading her essays, and it makes her lose hope in school. I know you're both really busy superpower women.
I mean, how right you are.
But I would love it. I mean, right? But I would love if you could maybe incorporate this scenario briefly into an amazing new episode of your fantastic podcast. And I appreciate your podcast and hope that it finds you well. Brian M. Okay, first off, Brian, thanks.
Right?
For all of these compliments, all of these beautiful adjectives about us. Okay,
I mean,
that's amazing.
You are completely spot on for one thing, obviously.
I mean, of course.
Right.
But that was really kind of you, so thank you.
Well, just to provide a little bit of context for this too, like, so this came in through our website. We have a contact us page. Feel free to write something in if you'd like to, but I was like, is this a joke? Because the only things that come in, or that we've had a couple of like promo swap requests, which was cool. And then we've had like, you know, people who are like, I see that you have podcast. Would you like me to promote? And I'm like, leave me alone. like you're clearly just fishing for, and, you know, and dropping in spam. And so I just was like, is this real? Is this a real thing? So the first thing I do when I get this is fire it off immediately to Jenny. And I'm like, check your email, because we had just finished recording an episode when this came through. And I was stoked.
I was squealing in the kitchen. I was so excited.
So Brian, thank you for sending this in. I
felt like Sally Field.
Right?
You like me.
I know.
Really like me.
I'm like honored and flattered. Someone in Maine is listening and then actually wants to hear what we have to say about this topic. So,
For those of you who are not Gen Z, Sally Field is a very famous actress.
Thanks, Steel Magnolias.
She played Forrest Gump's mom.
Right. Right. Steel Magnolias. She's the one who delivers. She delivers the line. Men are supposed to be made of steel. Yeah. I'm gonna start to cry if I think about that movie. It's so good. Okay.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like there are really two issues here. And Jenny, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think there is a perception of unfair grading and or bad teaching happening here. So that's one concern. Mm-hmm. The other is completely separate, which is the student losing that sense of academic confidence and her love for school as a result. So
right.
And if there's something that I'm missing,
one may be causing the other, but there are two things that need to be addressed.
Right.
I agree.
Right. We talked about this a little bit in our last episode, and Brian, being a teacher, I think would probably agree with most of what we said there. But on the parent side of things, it's a very different, a different feeling. And this is something that I am really struggling with, especially that now that I'm not in the classroom, just trying to walk that line, right? So with regard to the perceived unfair grading, again, I'm going to say you need to address this with the teacher directly. Do not go above the head. Do not CC anyone else in any emails in your first contact.
I agree. And I would also not discuss this with your child.
Keep your kid out of it. I will say I have been on the other end of this where parents have bad-mouthed me in front of their children. And then I overheard those same children repeating all of the things that their parents had said about me in the hallway. So it is a crappy feeling, and you do not ever want to be that person who does that to your kid, putting them in that position, but also the chance of the teacher hearing it is high. So just keep that in mind.
And this episode is airing in September.
Yes, it's
so
early.
If this question is in relation to something that's happening this school year, fifth grader hears dad talk about the teacher and say, oh, she's unfair and I don't agree with her grading. She's going to carry that with her for the remaining 9 months of the school year. And she's probably going to talk to her friends about it as well. And that's going to make the year difficult for all of those children, not to mention the teacher.
Absolutely.
But those kids are going to have a hard time.
Right. Practically speaking, what you're going to want to do is avoid anything in your email that sounds accusatory. You're going to immediately put that teacher on the defensive. And you're trying to preserve that relationship, especially, as Jenny mentioned, this early in the school year. So if it were me, I would start with an email asking to clarify the grading policy here. And the key word that I just put in there is asking. Because again, you don't want to say, you did this. You want to say, I want to, right? It needs to be an I statement. So I took the liberty of drafting an email here. And I will post this in our blog post for the week, and you can feel free to copy and paste. So it says, hi there, I hope this email finds you well. I am emailing about the XYZ essay that Sally wrote. She worked really hard on this assignment, and I helped with XYZ, whatever it is. But she feels like the grade that she earned did not reflect the final product that she submitted. Can you clarify how you graded the assignment so that we can ensure that she meets all of the requirements? I would love to see the rubric that you use, and we can talk through it for the next essay, the next assignment, whatever it may be. So in my mind, right there, I've addressed the teacher first. I'm respecting their authority by not CCing anyone else in there. And I'm asking to see the grading rubric and validating the teacher's process in grading the assignment in the first place, right? And I think it's okay to add also that you might want to see the actual rubric that the teacher used to grade Sally's assignment. So like with me, I always would grade like a big project like that, and then I would do the rubric, use that to calculate the final grade, and then I would make copies of all the rubrics, and I kept them for the whole rest of the semester in case I had to refer back. Maybe the teacher did that, maybe not. But if possible, ask to see exactly how the assignment was graded if there's a rubric, so that you can really get a sense of what happened here.
The thing I really like about this message that you composed, Caitlin, is it puts the feelings on it. It names the child's feelings. It doesn't say that I, as a parent, think it was graded unfairly. It says she feels that it doesn't reflect the final product. So it brings to light how the child feels. Additionally, it does not say, I want to address this essay. It says, I want to look through the rubric, so for the next writing assignment, she feels more prepared. This does not question the efficacy or fairness of the grading.
Right.
This says, I want to be able to walk her through her mistakes so that she feels more prepared for the next one. Now, as a fifth grade teacher, the one thing that this family could do is aid their child in sending a version of this message.
That's a great point, because then you're teaching self-advocacy as well.
And if your child politely, kindly says, I feel that my grade that I earned does not reflect the final product I submitted, can you help clarify? May I use the rubric? Can we go over it together? I want to make sure that I'm prepared for the next project. Because fifth grade is a great time for a student to start to take ownership of her own learning.
Yeah, and I think that anytime you can teach that self-advocacy piece is going to be really key here. And she can, if she has a school email, have it come from her email address and then CC you on it so that the parent is involved, the teacher, there's no like shady talk happening. It's all happening in front of, there's a third party, right? It's going to be fine. But just, that's a really excellent point because she is probably old enough to send that email. So the other piece of this
is contrary to what I just said. Right. I said, leave the child out of it. Now have her send the email.
Right. Yes.
Leave the child out of discussions of, is this fair? Is this teacher treating my child the way that I want her to be treated?
Yes.
That needs to be left out of the conversation with the child.
Right.
However, empowering your child to advocate for herself and ask for clarification on grading, you can do that. You can do that when she fails a math test that has a right or wrong answer.
Right.
And say, hey, did you ask to go over this with your teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Because my guess is she has sometime in the next 2 weeks to make an appointment where you guys could go over this and talk about the errors that you made.
Absolutely. So the other piece of this is that student feeling piece. I would start by being honest about how your daughter feels about this situation. Make them I statements so that you aren't being accusatory. I see that she really feels sad about going to school, or I see that she used to like writing and now she doesn't, or I see that she feels defeated before we start a homework task. Something like that, so that you are observing the daughter's feelings, but again, making them about you and not accusing the teacher of anything. You're going to validate the teacher's expertise. Again, you want to make sure that, you're not undermining in any way here. And I would add to the end of that email something that says, after this assignment, I have noticed that Sally seems to be feeling really down on herself and school. Do you have any advice about how we can address this together? So you're including the teacher in that triad, that education triad, right? And you are validating their expertise and saying, tell me please what advice you have for how I can fix how Sally's feeling on my side, but also you're kind of prompting a whole, let me see what I can do as the teacher, right? If I get that from a parent, I'm going to go, okay, so clearly Sally needs my help. What else can I do on my side? It's a leading question. You're doing it on purpose, right? But it's the kind of question that will get a response. That said, if the answer that you get from this email, again, it doesn't need to be long. I would encourage it to be short, matter of fact, right? You're talking about feelings, you're validating, etc. You name the assignment. Yeah. If the answer that you get isn't satisfactory for whatever reason, you feel like it's a crappy answer, you feel like it doesn't validate what you said, you feel just that it's mean, whatever it might be, it is absolutely okay to ask for a follow-up meeting in the form of a Zoom call or an in-person conference with some additional support from a school counselor or even the principal. And you can say, if the answer you get is wonderful, oh, sure, no problem, let me talk to Sally, we'll figure out what happened here, I'll sit with her tomorrow, we'll go through her rubric, and on our next assignment that I give out, I'll be sure to include the rubric in the packet of the project so everyone knows what's happening. If that's the answer you get, then you need to stop there, talk about the essay with Sally, and move forward, because that to me is an appropriate response. But if it's not appropriate, if you don't get what you need out of it and it feels invalidating, then I think you need to take it to the next step and ask for, an assistant principal's help. If there's I don't think a dean is necessary here, but a counselor could be really helpful. Something like that.
We are here for teachers.
Absolutely.
We are here for parents, but I think I can speak for Caitlin and myself when I say we are here for kids.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the number one thing to come out of this is we want this girl to still love school.
Absolutely. 5th grade is too early to stop loving school. It's too early.
And so if she is feeling resistant as a writer or hesitant as a student because of how she feels her work is being assessed, that is something to discuss. That is something to bring up. And there are ways to do it, like this message, or sitting next to your child as you compose an email together. All of those things are great ways to do that. But like Caitlin said, if you don't get a response that shows, hey, I recognize it's September. I do not want you to shut down right now. I want you to power through this year. And I mean, maybe even the teacher emails dad back and says, hey, actually I grade really hard on the first one, and it motivates the kids to really tune into their writing and dig into that rubric and make sure that they hit all the T's and all the I's that need to be crossed and dotted.
Yep.
Right? Yep. So there might be a strategy here. And with hope, this teacher is going to reveal that to you. But if you don't get a response that feels good and makes you feel like your child is going to feel good, then I'm not going to stand by that teacher.
No, because again, unfairness, no matter whether, if you feel like something's unfair, then it's unfair, right? Like, it's not, you can't invalidate that. That's someone's feelings. That's their truth. And you have to help that. You have to support your child in this situation. Your child needs to know that you're going to advocate on their behalf. And at the same time, you're going to walk her through how to advocate for herself. And I'm on the side of teachers here, but I'm also on the side of teachers who want to, who show empathy and who show compassion. And if it's just like, hey, that's how I grade, deal with it, I'm less inclined to be supportive, if that makes sense. I mean, who does that? Hopefully not this teacher. Right. And I think also just, I think the teacher in the tone, I think that you're going to see a softening just from this email that comes through. I think you're going to start to see like oh, I'm on this parent's radar as someone who might be perceived as mean to their child. So, maybe if that's the trigger, you might see some changes here. If for whatever reason this pattern continues and you see what you perceive to be ineptitude or meanness or something like that moving forward, then I think it might be a good idea to address higher up from here.
Right. And you include the teacher on those conversations as well.
Absolutely. You address with the teacher first.
Right. So,
and
then you can say,
I'm going to forward this on.
Thank you for your response. Yeah. I don't think that we're on the same page. This is really about my daughter's feelings and not necessarily about her grade.
Right.
So let's see if we can bring somebody else in and get us all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay. It's okay. And sometimes the conversation that you have to have, and not in September.
No.
Hopefully this can be resolved. But sometimes the conversation you have to have in March or April is, we're close to the end of the year. Mm-hmm. You only have this teacher for 5th grade. Mm-hmm. We're going to make it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have a great 6th grade year.
Yep. And we can do this. We're going to lead with kindness. We're going to lead with respect. And it's going to be hard. And there will be days that make you crazy, but you can do it. And, I'm hopeful that this will kind of trigger something with that teacher, that they'll be like, oh, okay, I'm on a radar here. I need to be a little bit more mindful of what I'm doing. Even if the one change is that now everyone gets the rubric handed out to them in the project packet, or the one change that the teacher makes is now they make copies of all the kids' rubrics so that they can talk about them later on with the parent if there's a question. Something like that. There needs to be a change.
Maybe the change is the teacher starts using a rubric.
Yeah, because
my guess is in this situation, and I'm just from the outside looking in, my guess is this teacher is aware of Sally's ability and was probably not impressed by the level of effort that she observed. Even though Sally put in a lot of effort, she thinks that she can do better. And so she's trying to motivate. But my guess is there's probably not a standard on this assignment. Yeah. And it was subjective grading, and it's probably something that could easily be fixed by referencing a rubric before you even assign the project. Oh, that's time.
That's the time. I agree with you. I think that you're probably right. I would bet that there may not have been a rubric, and now you're going to have a teacher who goes, oh, I didn't use a rubric. Oh.
Because, at the beginning of my career, I was a really lousy teacher. Let's be real.
Well, and I
loved kids, and I was excited about science.
Right.
But there was a lot of growing for me to do.
And I think also, when I was a TA in college, I didn't have a rubric because I didn't know what I was doing, right? But I would say, like,
right.
All right, this one was really fantastic. That's a clear A. This one was really crappy. Oh, that's probably a C. And anything in between, right? Like I made a pile. I was like, okay, 95, 85, 75. And that was the way I did it.
Right.
And there's a good chance that with a 5th grade essay, maybe that's what this person did. So I think if you put that word rubric in there, you're going to see a change.
Yeah. No student should be graded against their peers. They should be graded against a standard.
Right. Absolutely. So hopefully that helps. And I'm going to put this again. This is going to be in our blog post for the episode, so you'll be able to copy and paste this, and hopefully it will be something that helps. It's too early in the year for this relationship to fall apart, because if it doesn't work for your kid, it's not going to work for you. So there does need to be a reconciliation here as soon as possible. But that's the end of our 20-minute cram sesh. So
okay, so here's the deal, Brian.
Yes.
You gotta let us know what happened.
Yeah, I want to follow up.
Tell us what plan you took. Let us know how that went. And hopefully great. But if it went poorly, let us know and we can maybe help with the next steps.
Yeah, happy to do that for sure. Because I don't want to, it's like a student, right? Like I don't want to just like not know what happened. Right. Right. I want to know what happens.
We are really here for kids.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hopeful for you.
Okay, so go to our website, join our Patreon, tell your friends, rate, review, subscribe, find us on all of the places that you pod, spread the CK and GK love all over the world, including Augusta, Maine.
All over the world? Oh, goodness. I love it. All right. We love you.
Make good choices.
And use your gift cards and send polite emails to teachers. Maybe you get what you want.
Cram Sesh!
Bye, Cram Sesh! Bye.
Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.